Okay, so let's learn how to build major and minor chords. So the first thing we need to know is, how are chords created in general? How do we learn how to do this? Well, we use formulas. Now, if you've done math with formulas, you might know something about that. A formula is just kind of a pattern of instruction that tells us how to do something, where we take something like a root note in this case, and then we follow some instructions and we end up with the chord we want. So every kind of chord has a formula associated with it that you can memorize, so that when you want to make chord X, for instance, it's not a real chord, just as a variable, chord X, you would just know its formula, pick a root note, apply the formula, and you get the chord. So we're going to look into that now, and we're going to start with major chords. So to create a chord, all we need is its root note and the formula for that kind of chord. Now, to understand the formula, I want to define a couple terms first. And these are terms for intervals. So if I take a note, C, and I go to the next possible note on the keyboard, that's C sharp, that black note, that's called a half step. So a half step means just going to the next possible note. So if I'm on D, that's D sharp. If I'm on E, that goes straight to F, because there is no black key between E and F, so a half step would be from E to F. If I'm on B flat, the next possible note is B. If I go down a half step from A flat, the next possible note is G. So a half step is just going by one note over. Now, the other term is a whole step. A whole step is going two notes over. That's two half steps. So if I'm on C, a half step takes me to C sharp, but a whole step takes me to D. If I'm on C sharp, a whole step takes me to D sharp, or in this case they call it E flat. If I'm on E, a whole step will take me to F sharp, because this would be a half step, whole step. So a half step is just going by one note, and a whole step is going by two notes. Now, how does this apply to our major chord? Well, here's how it works. Let's pick a root note. We're going to start with C major because it's the easiest to think in. So I'm going to take my root note will be C, and my formula is going to be +4 +3. Now, these numbers in this case refer to half steps. So I'm going to take a root note, I'm going to add 4 half steps like this. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to add 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. And that is C major. Let's do it again on a different root note. I'm going to go to G. Now I'm going to go +4 +3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then +3. 1, 2, 3. That's G major. I can do it on a black key. Let's do it on B flat. So here's the root note. We go +4, 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps, +3, 1, 2, 3 half steps. And there it is. That's B flat major. This formula, +4 +3, will always give you a major chord no matter what root note you put it on. So if you can memorize that formula, you'll know how to make a major chord on every single note on the keyboard, or on your QWERTY keyboard, or on the piano roll MIDI editor inside Studio One. Whatever you're doing, so long as you know +4 +3, you can make a major chord. And I want to mention something else here as well. If we go back to C, and if you recall our C major scale, that's all the white keys. If we look at how this major chord relates to the major scale, we'll learn something interesting too. So here we have C, I'm going to go +4, 1, 2, 3, 4, +3, 1, 2, 3. Now, if we're looking at this and we ask ourselves, what numbers of the C major scale are these? As in, if we have 7 notes in the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we look at the C major chord, these notes are the first note, the third note, and the 5th note of the C major scale. So another way to define a major chord is saying that it's the 1, 3, and 5 of any major scale. If I look at the G major scale, and I look at the G major chord, +4, +3, and now I look at that, how it relates to the G major scale, that's the first note, third note, and 5th note of the G major scale. So another way to define a major chord is that it's the 1, 3, 5 of the major scale of whatever root note you're using. So any root note you pick, if you play its major scale, you can just take its first note, third note, and fifth note, and you will get its major chord. This way of talking about chords is going to become more important as we go along, understanding how the chord relates to the scale, because they have a very direct relationship. But for now, it's totally fine to just use the +4 +3 method to create your major chord. So that'll be your formula for now. I'll do it once more. I'm going to take A, I'm going to go +4, +3, and that is my A major chord. Now if I play an A scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and back to A again, and I look at my A major chord, that happens to be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, and 5 of the A major scale. So that's all I want to get across with this major chord. The formula that we're going to use is root note, and then you find a root note, then you +4 half steps, then you +3 half steps. Those notes that you end up with when you do that happen to be the first note, third note, and fifth note of the major scale that your root note is. Whatever your root note is, if you played its major scale, those notes would be the 1, 3, and 5 of that major scale. So in the next video, we're going to do the same thing with minor chords.